What's up, beautiful people? It's your boy Joshua Martin. Today I'm going to be talking about the SLR Magic Microprimes for the Fujifilm X-mount system, and I will show you which lenses that I actually use from day to day. Quick disclaimer, SLR Magic did send me these lenses, but this is not a paid sponsorship at all. This is mainly just for review and testing. But as most of you already know, I do use SLR Magic lenses for my personal work and professional work. So I bought the X1H mainly for stills, but recently I have used it for a few projects. My main camera is the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, but I do use this camera as my B camera for all the product reviews, B-roll, and stuff like that. So it gives me a lot of chances to use these lenses. If you want to see a complete breakdown in terms of the characteristics of these lenses for the Fujifilm X-mount Microprimes, definitely check out this link or look in the link in the description. I did a complete characteristic breakdown of each lens. But you will see a little bit of that in this video. This video is mainly just to talk about what this lineup is, what do you expect, what lenses you should get, because once you go look to buy these lenses as a Fujifilm filmmaker who uses Fujifilm cameras, you're going to probably ask yourself, what's the difference between the 12 and the 15 or the 18? We're going to talk a little bit about that. All right, let's talk about what is in this set. So right off the bat, you'll get 7 lenses if you decide to buy this whole entire set. That's a lot, but let's kind of get through this. So we have the 12, the 15, 18, 25, 35, 50, and 75. They all do range differently in T-stops, but we'll get a little bit into how that affects your image. Now, the build quality of these lenses, and really the vast majority of all microprimes, they all have similar design, which is a lot better than their hyperprime line of their older lenses that they introduced a few years ago. And the biggest difference between the hyperprime and the microprime is the design. The hyperprimes were smaller, very inconsistent with the gear, so it didn't make it ideal for any real professional work with using a set of lenses. If you had 17, you had a 25, and you had 50, all 3 lenses would have different T-stops and gear placements, and so that will make it difficult if you're switching out lenses and you're putting back your follow focus. Yeah, it can be a hassle. So with the microprimes, they want to kind of alleviate that. And so all of the lenses have a identical gear placement. It makes it a lot easier if you're using it for a gimbal. Switching out lenses, you don't have to recalibrate because pretty much the weight of the lens sits near the back. It's more compact that way, and the gear placement, like I said, are more consistent. So all of the T-stop gears are in one place and all of the focusing gears in one place. So that's one key feature. Another one, of course, it has an 82 thread filter, so you can screw on your ND filters or Pro Mist or specialty filters, and it has an 85 diameter. So as you can see here, I have the Tilta matte box and it's clamped on to the front of this. Now you still have to use the Tilta's adapter, that's what's sitting on here, but this is what it looks like. It's like I said, 85 diameter lens on the outer ring, but this Tilta matte box is it's slightly bigger, so it can't clamp on directly to that lens. All the lenses have internal focusing, so the physical lens does not change as you're focusing, and it has a 150-degree focus throw. The coverage is obviously a Super 35 sensor. That's what all of the Fujifilm cameras in this price range, so the X-T3, the X-T4 when it comes out, the X-H1. So these lenses are made for these cameras. And let's start with the wide section. This consists of the 12, 15, and 18 millimeters. The 12 millimeter lens is a T2.8. It sits at 500 grams, and the length of it is 75 millimeters, and the close focus distance is 6 inches. The 15 is a T3.5, identical in terms of size and weight as the 12 millimeter as well. And the 18 mil is a T2.8, similar size and weight. Out of the 3 lenses, you have to remember that on this Fujifilm system, there is a crop into the 4K. So if I was to pick which lens for me to use, I actually like to use quite often, is actually the 12 millimeter. I like the super wide look. I don't mind the distortion. There is distortion on this lens. But for me and how I like to shoot and the visual style that I want to achieve, sometimes with much wider lenses that capture sweeping landscapes and just establishing shots, I definitely would go for the 12. But surprisingly, the 15 is actually a sweet spot. But don't let that 3.5 t-stop turn you away from the 15 mil, because this still lets in a lot of light. So keep that in mind. And once you're looking at the crop factor with these lenses, they physically don't change. They still have the same characteristics as the lens itself, but the field of view does change, so keep that in mind. So for me, then 18 is a little bit too tight and is approaching the 25-ish range, but a 12 will be the standout lens for me in this case. It's the 25 and 35. Beautiful lenses. I've worked a lot with both of them. The 25 is a 1.5 t-stop, 13 blades, 9 groups, 11 elements, and it weighs about 1.6 pounds. The 35 is a 1.3 t-stop, 13 blades, 8 groups, 9 elements, and it weighs around 700 grams or 1.5 pounds. Now these two are very interesting lenses. Personally, out of the two, I would pick the 25. Something about a slightly wider lens, and plus the field of view is closer to a 35 mil, but the characteristics is very similar too in these two lenses. The 35 is great, fast t-stop, and if that's something that really appeals to you, a 1.3, go for it. But I think the 25, in terms of field of view and similar characteristics, I would pick the wider end of the two. Now getting down to the 50 and 75 millimeters. This was a hard one, just because, man, the glass on these two are just absolutely beautiful. What shines here is the 50 mil. This has the fastest t-stop of the set, and it's sitting at a 1.2. And I think just for that mere fact, a 50 on this camera system is quite tight, the very, very narrow field of view, but the t-stop is, the very large aperture is very appealing to me in this situation here. Not to say that I shoot all the time wide open, I don't, but having that flexibility, and it's great for low light situations. Low light meaning just if you need to capture a lot of light with no real true source, this would be an opportunity to do that with a much wider t-stop. It is quite soft wide open, as all of the SLR Magic lenses are. Now the 75 is a great lens. I shot a short video on this with this lens. It's beautiful, and I actually made a mistake with that video. I shot it in the 50 megabits per second, so the detail wasn't that great, but you can tell that this lens really actually produced in very interesting lighting. There was steam coming off of the water, backlit, and it didn't break down at all. You didn't see much fringing or anything like that, so it was a beautiful, beautiful lens. But what would I pick? I would pick the 50. I think it appeals to me more, the field of view, the faster t-stop. So to wrap this video up, if you are a Fujifilm shooter and you're really trying to figure out, am I going to be using these photo lenses for video, or am I going to try to step up and get some quality cinema glass? SLR Magic is very enticing. The pricing for all these lenses are between $500 to $600. And it's a really good value for what you're getting out of these lenses. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and sell you something, but if you are looking at these lenses and you wanted a recommendation of which to get out of this set, the 12, the 25, and the 50, I think that's a great coverage. You can always alternatively go 18, 35, 75. So whatever you pick, really, just understand what you need and how you shoot. That's what I would say. These lenses are quite beautiful, and I'm very excited to see what Fujifilm does near in the future with video. Their color science is, I really love their color science when it comes to photos, and now they're bringing some of that into the video world. But F-Log is pretty great too. One day I'm hoping Fujifilm brings out its own cinema camera. I would probably want to pick that up or at least test it out, you know? But I'm rambling. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, leave in the comments below. Again, if you want to see a full characteristic breakdown of each lens, I highly recommend that you do. You can kind of see where this lens breaks and what does it feel like. Watch that video. This is just really an overview of these lenses. Yeah, I'm out of breath. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys later.